First of all, once again, we have to put in perspective and in context why we're here. This is why we're here. This is why the chief spoke today. And this is why I'm speaking to you. His name is Jayland. And he's not a monster. He's my client. I'm emotional because of what I saw today. I've seen it 3 times and it doesn't get any easier. I'm sad that we began the presentation in precisely the way that the law would not allow. I want you to know that when I go to court for this family, the judge will look at me and he will say, "You are not allowed, counsel, to look at a shooting like an armchair quarterback. You're not allowed to look back on the shooting from the end of the story and give snapshots in time. I'm not allowed to do that in court." I'm disappointed I saw that today. They want to turn him into a masked monster with a gun, and we knew that. But I want to thank the chief for one thing he said. At the time he was shot, more than 90 or 60 or whatever the unbelievable number will be, he was unarmed. A couple days ago, a guy with my skin color held off police, killed a couple, and is in jail today. In a standoff with a long firearm called a rifle. And a black man today is going to be buried this week or next week when he leaves the morgue. And his name is Jayland. And Jayland was unarmed. Black guy in Kentucky? Nope. Black guy in Akron? Yep. And is that something that's very difficult for me to admit? Yes, it is difficult for me to admit. Because I didn't come here to inflame what I fear will be inflamed. I came here to say what our message is, and that is peace. If you can do anything for the family, please give peace, give dignity, and give justice a chance for Jayland. My clients are private people. Jayland was a private kid. He wasn't married. He wasn't a criminal. He obviously was in pain. He didn't deserve to die. By the way, my name is Bobby DiCello, and I represent Jayland Walker, and I have my team here with me. And my team will be speaking right after me. You're going to hear from Ken Abarno, and you're going to hear from Paige White, who will be key to our work on this case. And I want to thank all who have reached out to the family, all who have reached out to me. I want to thank each media outlet for doing your difficult work of figuring out which side of this story do you believe. I hope the video tells the full story, and I hope we remember that as Jayland ran across that parking lot, he was unarmed. I'll give closing remarks after my team speaks. So now, without saying more, I'll introduce Ken Abarno.
I just have such profound sadness for what we saw today. Each time I've watched the video, it's gotten worse for me. Every movement that I see, every shot that I heard, and every time that I see Jayland lying on the ground just gets more and more horrific. I'm going to look at my phone because I took some notes down while we were inside, and what we heard was that it was tough to see. It's a lot more than just tough to see. It's something that should never, ever have to be seen. We've heard of transparency, accountability, a commitment to openness, all in an effort to try and gain the trust of the citizens, and for a fair and unbiased review of the facts is what we heard of in the conference today. And what was very telling is what we heard Chief Milet say, that the most critical decision that a police officer will make in his or her career is to pull the trigger and then be able to explain why they did what they did, what specific threats were present, and to be able to account for every round that comes out of that gun. Those are my notes, and that's what I heard, and the video will tell us exactly what was said, but that's how I heard it. And I believe that's how everybody else heard it. The officers will need to account for every single action that they did. The Walker family is praying for peace. They are asking for peace. They are praying for accountability. We live in a society where we can never see this happen again. We need to get better. How do we get better? We're going to learn from this about how we can get better. And as my partner Bobby DiCello pointed out, we cannot villainize Jayland. This is a young man who just last Sunday was with his family and was with his grandmother and was helping put chairs out on the porch. His smile, who he was, how he interacted with his family, that's who Jayland was. And efforts to try and paint him in a different light, that's spin, that's protection. We're here for transparency. We are not here for spin. We are here for accountability. We are not here for protection. And we all personally hope that now that a week has gone by, perhaps one of those officers will make a statement or will give a statement to the investigators. I could not tell from the answers inside, but what I understood is that none of the officers have made formal statements yet. Now, we're not privy to the BCI investigation, but if that in fact is the case, that is troubling. That is very troubling. I want to ask for everybody's patience indeed as we work through this process. We are going to support the Walker family in every way, shape, or form. We'll answer questions that you may have after we're done speaking here today. There's a lot more questions than answers right now. Please remember Jayland Walker. Please remember him. I'm going to ask Paige White to also provide us with some words here today, too.
I'm heartbroken. And what we all just saw in that room is heartbreaking. What I'm here to say is that we are done dying like this, in this manner, with this fate. Nobody should ever suffer the fate that Jayland Walker did. Sunday morning, Jayland woke up in his bed, and 24 hours later, he was in a morgue. Jayland was shot more times than I can count. And that is beyond troubling. We are done dying like this. And change is coming. And how do we get there? We get there with peaceful organization, peaceful protest, and with honoring the beloved community that Jayland loved. Jayland Walker was a 25-year-old young man full of promise and gone far too soon. Jayland Walker loved his family and he loved Akron, Ohio. And so today, I know that we all have heavy hearts. As my partners have said, it's not troubling, it's beyond that. There are no words to describe what we just saw. But we are begging you. That family is begging you. Jayland is begging you to stay peaceful. We will get nowhere with violence and destruction, but we will with measured and calm dialogue. And so today, we are calling for peace. We are asking for you to give Jayland the dignity that he deserves by honoring his legacy and his community through peace, and we are demanding justice. As my colleagues have said, we thank the Akron Police Chief for his transparency and for the accountability that has been shown thus far. Make no mistake about it. We will get justice for Jayland Walker. We demand justice for Jayland Walker.
One second. Again, on behalf of the Walker family, Pastor Robert DeJournette of the Church of God in Christ, and all who support this family, please, please be peaceful today. LeBron James is praying for this city according to his last tweet, and that's an important thing. The world is watching us. Please be peaceful. And with that, I'll take questions. Yes.
What was your reaction to the Chief's description of Jayland's movements just before the gunfire?
This presentation was different than the presentation we received. When we were in the church, and I'll say exactly what was said to me, the chief said at that time he did not see the movement that would have put these officers in fear. When I began my remarks today, I said that it's troubling to take this armchair quarterback point of view. The way the law requires, indeed, the way we are all required to look at this is through the eyes of a reasonable police officer as it's happening. I ask you, as he's running away, what is reasonable? To gun him down? No, that's not reasonable.
Mr. Barney, can you go further in explanation how you said it was troubling that we have not heard, or the officers have not given statements. Can you expand on that and why you feel it's troubling?
Absolutely. We have had a week go by. The freshest time for people to remember the most critical details about what happened is at the actual time that it happened. Witness statements are best taken just then. Witness statements are not best taken perhaps after someone has an opportunity, if in fact this happens, to watch the video frame by frame in slow motion and then remember the events afterwards. So in the work that I've done in over 30 years, the best, most accurate statement is one taken right then and there. You sit the person down and you have him write it out then and there. You don't let a week go by, because each day that goes by, memories can fade.
Bobby, you said that Jayland was obviously in pain. Can you tell us what you meant by that?
Well, Jayland had never broken the law a day in his life. No crimes of any kind. And what has happened to him about that time, that he would flee the scene, that he would act in the manner that he did in that way, would it be indicative of some distress, some fear, something that he was going through? I don't know. We're going to hopefully drill down and find that out. Yes?
The police chief wasn't willing to say that the number of shots fired was excessive, but I think that's why a lot of people are here and watching this case. Was it excessive?
It was absolutely excessive. The law requires to use force that is reasonable. 8 officers, or whatever the final number will be. You know, we've heard numbers as high as 95 shells on the ground. Right? You'll see, if you review this video over and over again, an officer drains his clip and then reloads. If 8 guys drain 11 rounds, that's 81 rounds, or 88 rounds, and then you've got 12, maybe 16 in the chamber, or in the guns themselves. So yes, this is absolutely unreasonable. Absolutely. Yes.
In the press conference, they did not actually show us anything of the moment of police attempting to pull him over. The body cam footage starts after that, and when I asked about it, they said there's no dash cam footage, there's no footage that they could show us that shows that moment. Do you have any idea why they attempted to pull him over in the first place?
It's our understanding, and again, I'm going off of what I was told by the chief on Thursday night. We were all there. It was an equipment violation and a possible traffic infraction involving speed. That was it. That was what started this, and how it got to this with a pursuit is beyond me. Yes.
What do you make of the wedding ring and the death of Jamisha Beasley a month before?
What do I make of what?
The wedding ring found in the car, allegedly found in the car, and then also the death of Jayland's fiance.
So Jayland, the question was, what do I make of the death of Jamisha, his girlfriend, a month before? We know that he was very saddened by that. We also have talked with the family that he was exhibiting no behavior towards them that would indicate he was capable of anything that would amount to what you've seen here. Driving away from police, taking off his ring, that sort of thing. I also don't know if he had the ring on his finger. I don't know where that ring came from. I don't know whose ring that is right now. What I do know is there's a ring and a gun. Now, interestingly enough, also, the gun from BCI's point of view, I understand, was found in the back seat. So we have pictures of it in the front seat. And I want to also echo this. The car was driven by Jayland, and apparently there's a shot fired from it, right? Well, we know the car is intact and has no bullet holes in it, and so we're interested to find out how this gunshot could have possibly been directed at an officer. I mean, as you're driving a vehicle. So if there was a gunshot, and we don't know that either, so we're very concerned about those allegations right now. Yes, and then I'll go to Jeff.
What does justice for Jayland look like? What do you see from the court?
Well, justice for Jayland looks like, first of all, tonight, and in the days that immediately follow on this American holiday, that this American who died is remembered peacefully, and that the struggle of his life begins with peaceful protest, and that those peaceful protests call for change. And, you know, that word is getting old, isn't it? I've too many times been at these and heard the word change, but we're going to be hopeful, and we're going to hope that there's an opportunity to get new policies in place, collaborate with the city leadership, push. Look, the city did something good here. We have to acknowledge it. They do have this video disclosure statute. It doesn't give us everything, but it gives us something to work with. And so we've got something to work with here. We're going to continue that dialogue. Justice for Jayland looks like this: accountability and change in terms of the procedures and policies in place. Well, let me go to, go ahead.
One of the questions that came out of the presentation from police today is that Mr. Walker was, according to police, wearing a ski mask when he jumped out of the car. What do you think of that? Is there an explanation for that at this point in this investigation?
At this point in this investigation, there is no explanation for that. The behavior is strange, there's no doubt. I want to add, though, that behavior is not lethal behavior. It's bizarre, sure. And the officers find bizarre occasions all the time. They're trained to encounter bizarre occasions. So we don't have an answer for that right now. Thank you. I'll go to you and then I'll go back here. Yes.
Is there any truth to what you reported that Jayland was pulled over 24 hours before, or there was an attempt made by the Franklin police to pull him over 24 hours before?
We understand that the night before there had been an attempt to stop him that resulted in Jayland leaving the area. We don't know more details than that, and we are embracing that fact because he went home to bed that night. On this night, he went to the morgue. So one department got it right, another department got it wrong. Yes?
The chief explained the medical care that was given to Jayland before the fire arrived and helped him in the ambulance. In previous releases of video and officer-involved shootings, they usually stop the videos at the point of deadly force, so we don't see anything afterwards. Have you seen what happened after all those fires, after all those gunshots were fired?
What you didn't see that I saw was, first of all, a body that was not blurred out. A body that was twitching and moving with every shot that landed, as it was on the ground. The shots continued after he was on the ground. We saw that. It's there. It's real. As to the handcuffing of the body that comes next, we know that they then handcuff him and roll him on his back, and then they begin to apply some sort of attempt at life-saving measures, which after 60-plus wounds and 90-plus bullets makes for a hopeless cause. After that, he's taken into a police car, and we have not seen that video.
Did you say he was taken into a police car, or?
They attempted. Yeah. They attempted.
There was a
Take him into a police car?
There was a
Yes.
consideration while EMS was on the way to put him into a police car. Ultimately, EMS arrived.
Consideration, they were discussing it, or they actually?
No, they actually, he said it as well, they actually attempted to place him in the car. Their thought was maybe they can get him to a hospital sooner, as the chief said earlier today, but that, we don't have that video. We never saw that. Yes?
Can you talk about Jayland's state of mind and how he was dealing with the sudden death of his fiancée?
Well, we know that immediately after the death of his fiancée, he was sad, but he wasn't exhibiting any kind of behavior that scared the family, or he wasn't talking about things that were bizarre. He wasn't writing out journals or making veiled threats of any kind. He was acting in a normal manner. I mean, he was sad, but he was getting through it. And the family was just as surprised as I am today to talk about it. Knowing what's happened here is a big mystery for them. Yes?
Have you been able to determine if he was working, he was a DoorDash worker, was he working at the time of this?
I don't think he was working at the precise time, but I don't know. I'd have to find that out. Anybody else? All right. Oh, yes, yes.
We do understand that he possibly was scrambled in the morning, helping her at her home. Do you know possibly where he may have been going before his attempted attack?
We do not know where he was going at that point in time. We'll find that out eventually, but we do not know at this point in time.
Anything else on that? Anybody? All right. Thank you all.